friends. Brian Gailey, Klamath Falls News. Welcome to Ask Klamath, presented by Fastbreak. Today we're joined by Pam Greene.
Hi.
Of Amcom Tax and Accounting, LLC.
No, Inc.
I'm sorry, Inc. I got LLC on everything, so we're going to have to fix that. Amcom Tax and Accounting, Inc. All
Absolutely.
Right. So I'm actually glad to have you here. Special guest. I'm glad it's now at the end of 2018. We got tax time coming up. We're going to talk a lot about taxes.
Absolutely.
What it is you need to be doing, maybe your business or you personally, that need to be doing to prepare for next year's tax issues.
Yes, we've had a lot of changes happening, as you might know. The big Trump tax cuts, and the IRS has only recently released a little bit of guidance on how they're going to do those. We, of course, don't have any kind of written guidance yet or any forms with instructions. So some of it is still a little bit up in the air, but I do have information about a lot of it and how things are going to change.
Awesome. You're not going to want to miss this episode. We're going to be, actually, Damien, roll that intro, and we're going to have more with Pam in just a second. Hi, friends. Brian Gailey, Klamath Falls News. Welcome to Ask Klamath, presented by Fastbreak. Today, we're joined by Pam Greene of Amcom Tax and Accounting, Inc.
Absolutely.
Ignore the LLC back there on the screen. Guys, this is our 10th episode of Season 2. In Pam, we got a lot to talk about.
Absolutely.
But before we get there, I want to give a little bit of rundown on Pam's bio, and of course, we gotta set the stage here. And your team wrote this for me, so I can't take credit for this. Pam takes the cringe out of tax preparation at Amcom Tax and Accounting, a small business founded 5 years ago with business partner, was that Lori Byram?
Yes.
Okay, want to make sure I said that right. Pam believes that getting your taxes done can be a better experience, and Amcom is dedicated to accurate returns that minimize tax and maximize refunds.
Right. And also being comfortable with what's happening. A lot of times people, when you come to get your taxes done, it's just not a very pleasant experience. Most people are either scared or nervous, or they have no idea what to expect. They're not sure that they're going to get as big a refund as last year, or if they're going to have to pay, or if they don't understand the tax system at all. So we want to educate you as much as you want to be educated. I have a lot of clients that are like, I just don't care. I just want you to do it. I want you to do it right. I'm going to sign it. That's all there is to it. I have other clients that are like, explain this to me. And so I will go line by line through their tax return with them, explaining what everything is like. And this year is going to be a lot more explaining because things have changed quite a bit.
Yeah.
So the general public just doesn't really understand the tax world, and we want to make it more accessible to them.
Okay. So, guys, we're going to be taking your comments live during the broadcast. If you got questions for Pam, put those in the comments below. We're going to be reviewing those questions and asking those near the end of the broadcast. So be sure to get some of those in. And somebody today is going to walk away with a payday rewards card loaded with $25 from our presenting sponsor, Fastbreak.
Woohoo.
Pretty cool stuff. So you don't want to go anywhere away from that. Now, again, sometimes we might get a lot of questions and not all of them can get asked on the air. So if we don't ask your question and you do get it put down there, please don't get upset that we don't get your question asked. And possibly Pam could go back and answer some of those questions a little bit later in the comments.
I'd be happy to go back through the comments and ask them. I want you to remember, though, when you ask questions, that the information I'm giving today is very general. It's hard for me to know exactly the right answer to some of your questions because I'm not seeing a full picture of your stuff. So I'd like to give you some general answers. If I can't fully answer it, I offer free consultation, so it's possible that I could answer it later.
Very good. That was actually going to be one of my questions, free consultation.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. So we get to know you a little bit better first. All right. How did you get started in the tax and accounting field?
I actually started as the receptionist in another accounting firm in town. It worked out really good because my husband is a farmer, and so when we had small children, it worked out really good for me to be really busy in the winter when he was on the offside, and for me to have time off in the summer when he was really busy. So I actually studied accounting when I was in college, and then went to work as the receptionist in a tax office. Then that office sent me to tax school, and I went to tax school and learned how to be a preparer and started doing some books. So that's how I started, and then I just kind of worked my way through a couple of different offices until I met my current business partner, and we said, you know what, we think we can do this in a different way that has a better experience for the client, and that we can provide some really good customer service as well as some really accurate tax returns. So we decided to go out on our own, and we bought a book of clients, and Amcom Tax and Accounting was born about 5 years ago.
And so how long cumulatively have you been doing something?
So I have been doing taxes for about 15 years.
15 years, okay.
Yep, and my business partner, Lori, has been doing taxes for over 30 years. So we've got a lot of combined experience, as well as a full team behind us of accounting professionals and tax professionals ready to help with accounting, payroll, and bookkeeping and tax issues.
Full team.
A full team.
Awesome. So looking at your, I don't know if they're accomplishments, designations, or whatever it is, behind your name, whenever you look at a business card with Pam, or even on the screen there, it says EA and LCT.
LTC. Yes.
What do those mean?
Okay, so I'm going to start with LTC first. That's an Oregon designation. Oregon has actually the strictest rules about who can prepare a tax return. In Oregon, you have to attend an 80-hour class and pass a test given by the state in order to become an LTP, a licensed tax preparer. After you receive your LTP, you have to work for somebody else for around 2 years. There's an hour requirement that you have to work under somebody else. And then you have to pass another test to become a licensed tax consultant. So that's what I am as far as the Oregon designation. Licensed tax consultant is the highest accreditation you can get from the state of Oregon to prepare a tax return. When you're an LTC, you can work out on your own. You can supervise other preparers, and that's what that is. EA is an IRS designation. So EA is enrolled agent, and it means I'm enrolled and licensed to practice before the IRS in tax court. Now, that is something that I am certainly not going to do, because even though they say I'm qualified, I am not. So if you need to go to tax court, that's not going to be me. But to be an EA, you have to pass actually a 4-part test. It's 4 different tests. It's very in-depth on individual tax returns and small business returns, and it is the highest designation that you can get from the IRS. Now, a lot of people will say, are you CPA? Because that's another designation. A CPA is a certified public accountant, and that is something that you get from going to college for 4 years and then passing the CPA bar. So CPAs do a lot of public accounting, auditing. They also do taxes, but not all CPAs specialize in tax. My designations are specific tax designations. I specialize in tax.
Specialize in tax.
Yes.
Your office does bookkeeping and things like that as well.
We do bookkeeping and accounting. We wouldn't do any public accounting. We wouldn't do any auditing. Those are definitely...
What's the difference between like accounting for a small business and public accounting?
So a public accounting would be for like a government entity. It would you have to follow certain GAAP rules, which is general accounting practices. That's not what you use for taxes. For tax accounting is different. We do follow general accounting practices, but we don't have to do all the things that they do. Okay. Small businesses don't need those. They need accounting for tax purposes and to make business decisions. So that's the accounting that we do. We do bookkeeping, accounting, and payroll to help small businesses know where they stand, what kind of business decisions they should make, how they're going to grow and expand their business, what their numbers mean. So that's the accounting that we do. We don't audit books. We don't audit huge corporations. We don't do any of that. We leave that to CPAs.
Okay. So with that,
sure.
Does that leave any time for fun and relaxation? What do you do?
You know what? I have a passion for world travel. So that's one of the things that I do is I really enjoy travel, and my business has certain high points and low points where it's possible for me to take some time off. This is kind of a low point in the tax world. I just got back from Jamaica, and I'm going to Hawaii with my family for Thanksgiving, so that's one of the things I really enjoy. I also enjoy things like like quilting, and my husband and I like to just relax and sit in the hot tub. I have 2 adult children that live out of town, so I like to go visit them. Both of my children are huge Washington State Coug fans. Go Cougs. So I attend a lot of Coug games, even though I enjoy the Beavers and the Ducks too. But if there's a question, I'm a Coug fan. So we go to a few games, and I've got a lot of friends that I like to hang out with, and accountants and tax people are not boring. We are fun, exciting people.
Very well, very well. So what fun, exciting things?
Yes.
What are you involved in outside of taxes and counting and world travel and going to Hawaii for Thanksgiving?
One of the things that I'm involved in Klamath Falls is that I'm a board member for the Klamath County Chamber of Commerce. Klamath Falls is a unique place and is a really good place to live. And the chamber tries to make it an even better place for business. So, that's one of my passions. I like to work with small businesses as well as individuals with their tax returns. But small business is one of my passions. I'm a small business person. My husband is a farmer, so he's a small business person. And so helping those people through the chamber and through the work that we do at Amcom is definitely one of my passions. I've been very involved with 4-H in Klamath Falls. I was the co-pig superintendent. I've since let some of that go to my better timed people that are working on it. So I've been 4-H is one of my passions too. It's a really great program. So
it is an awesome program. We've been involved with it for a long time.
Yeah,
too.
and it's something that I give my time and money to. So.
Well, very well. Good. Guys, if you got a question for Pam, get those in the comments. It's a great time to do that. Somebody's going to walk away with a $25 payday rewards card loaded by Fastbreak. We'll be right back with more with Pam.
Fuel, refreshment, convenience, community, rewards. Fastbreak convenience stores with 7 basin locations at Madison Chevron, Homedale Fastbreak, Merrill Mobile, 97 Chevron, McDowell Fuel Good, Washburn Chevron, and Blythe Fuel Good. Fastbreak, convenience, community, service.
Slow down.
Slow down and move over.
And move over. When you see lights,
vests,
or reflectors,
please give us some room. Slow down and move over.
when you need us.
we've got your back.
Do you have ours?
You got our back?
You got ours? You got our back? Please, slow down.
And move over.
You can have your car taken to the shop of your choice. So my friend had her car taken to Excel Auto Body because she heard about their reputation for excellent work. They even gave her a written warranty that's good for as long as she owns that car. So Excel Auto Body is a very smart choice.
Hi, I'm Rorik, owner of Excel Auto Body. No matter if the damage is minor or major, you'll want to choose us now. So if you are ever in an accident, you'll be ready. And remember, it's your choice what body shop you go to. Choose Excel Auto Body. It's your car, our reputation.
Hello, friends. Brian Gailey, Klamath Falls News. Welcome back to Ask Klamath, presented by Fastbreak, our sponsor of this season. We're joined today by Pam Greene, Amcom Tax and Accounting. I'm going to call it AmTax all day long. Amcom Tax and Accounting. This segment is actually brought to you by our friends over at CrossFit APE, located at 105 North Spring Street. CrossFit APE offers core strengths and a conditioning program built on consistently varied functional movements executed at a high intensity. Learn more at CrossFitAPE.blogspot.com. CrossFit APE, evolve your lifestyle. Pam, are you ready for some more questions?
Absolutely.
All right, so I got a couple of questions that I thought, what would, if I was to be asking somebody like yourself in a talk show like this, that, kind of happen to be sitting here, what would I want to know? And do you have some things? Let me phrase it this way: what are the things individuals should do this year before year's end to prepare for next year's taxes?
For this year's taxes?
For this year's taxes. What do they need to do by December 31?
Okay.
For when they file in January?
Yes. So those are different questions, but actually going to answer both of them.
Okay.
So before December 31, if you're an individual taxpayer on a W-2, you don't have any time to do anything different. So if your withholdings are incorrect, then, and it's a possibility with the tax changes that they could be, and while it would be good for you to know so you can be prepared and we can help you with that, there isn't a lot you can do at this point.
Okay.
So one of the things that I really hate to see is that people come in and they don't come in until April, or they extend till October, and they haven't had enough withheld. And by then it's too late for them to even change for the next year. So if you're just a W-2 person working for a W-2, which most individuals are, then it's kind of late in the game. But you need to know what those withholdings are. You need to get your taxes done early in the year so that if you do need to change anything, you have time. With the new tax law, I know a lot of people are scrambling. A lot of preparers are scrambling and going, oh, I'm really, really worried about my clients that they haven't had enough withheld. They didn't change the tax tables right away. When they did change them, we're not sure they were accurate. So this is going to be a tough year for people. It really is. So my advice is get in early to get your taxes done so we can see if you're being withheld at the right amount. When I looked at clients last year and projections on what was going to happen this year, if their withholdings had maintained at where they were last year, they were all going to be better off. If their withholdings changed and they're having less withheld, theoretically they should be even and they shouldn't owe anything or get a huge refund at the end of the year. But we're kind of waiting to see. The only other thing that I can recommend is that if you're going to itemize, and we're going to talk about that later in the program about whether you're going to itemize, because that has changed too. You just want to get that kind of stuff together. You want to get your charitable donations together. You want to make sure that you have receipts for that and they're all well documented.
Okay. So the same thought, but speak to a business instead. What would a business need to be doing now between December 31st?
So a business is a little bit different because they have the ability to change their income at year end by spending money. They can increase their expenses. They can buy large equipment, cars, things like that. Things that they can Section 179 depreciation expense at year end. So for businesses, I really encourage them to know where they are as far as what's their income, what's their expenses, are they where they want to be as far as, paying tax. Paying tax is not always a bad thing. You don't always want to get your tax down to zero when you're a business because there's repercussions for that too. So really working with your tax advisor to know where you are so that if you do want to make a purchase at year end, that you're making it from a business standpoint where it's not going to hurt your cash flow, and that if you are going to purchase something and write it all off in 1 year, but carry a contract on paying it off for 4 years, that you understand that that's not going to be write-offable anymore. We've already taken that expense. So that's, those are the kind of discussions you need to have with your tax consultant. You want to make sure that that they understand your entire business, what your cash flow is, what it's going to look like for next year, and if you need to make a big purchase. And that's very possible. I have a lot of clients that come and say, here's where we're at, and we talk about it, and they say, what do you think? And I ask questions about what's coming up for the next year, and we decide if they should make a big purchase. So businesses are a little bit different. There are things they can do.
What are some of the big purchases? You mentioned a car, maybe would it be computers?
Yep. Equipment, those kinds of things. We've got, do I buy my equipment now or do I wait till February to buy it? There are some discussions about that. So cars are big, especially the farmers that I do. They're always looking to buy that next new pickup to cut down on self-employment tax and things like that. There's other tools that I have to help businesses reduce their tax. So maybe a big purchase isn't necessarily the way to go. Also, setting up retirement plans. It's too late to set up some for businesses now. Individuals can contribute to an IRA clear up until the due date of the tax return. So they don't have to do that before the year end. They can still do it afterwards. But some business plans have to be set up by October. So it's always a good idea to be meeting with your tax professional throughout the year, looking at your things at even a quarterly basis and making sure that your tax professional understands your business and understands what you want to do. Also, if you're an individual and you've had a major life change, like you got married or you got divorced or you had a baby or you sold your house or you're going to have to move, those are things that you might want to talk to your tax professional about. And what I really want to stress is talk to them before it has happened. Talk to me before you take money out of your retirement account early, because some of the stuff I may have to say to you about it may change your mind. If you only talk to me about it after it's happened, I can't help you. If you talk to me before, then we may be able to come up with some solutions that will mitigate it, or at least prepare you for what's going to happen.
Okay. So you briefly mentioned like charitable contributions.
Absolutely.
Going into the holiday season, that's kind of a common thing.
Mm-hmm.
Donations to food organizations or, Toys for Tots type deals. Or, Klamath Caravan, quick shout out to them as well. This weekend there's a donation drive happening right now. Search Facebook for Klamath Caravan, spelled with a K. Stuff going on. That could be an option right now as well, right? How does charitable donations work?
Okay, so what we want to talk about is the difference between itemized deductions and standard deduction. So with the changes with the new tax law, a lot of people who itemized in the past won't be itemizing for federal anymore. They still might be itemizing for state. So that's a different thing. So when you make a charitable contribution, and I encourage you to do that, whether it's going to improve your tax bottom line or not, you want to make sure that you get a receipt for it, and that if you're going to make the donation, you want to at least have the opportunity to deduct it if you can. So you want that is something an individual could do. I'm glad you pointed that out. At year end, if their taxes are very high and they want to reduce it, they itemize, they could make a significant contribution to a charity.
And instead of Uncle Sam getting it, maybe the charity can get it and can help the charity a little bit more.
There's also some, if they're retirement age and they're required to take a required minimum distribution from their IRA, but they don't really need the money, they can have that be a charitable contribution too. So there are some things that you can do at the very year end with those things. I want to talk a little bit about standard deduction and itemization, because a lot of people don't even really understand what that is. They don't understand what they can deduct and what they can't deduct. So everybody gets the standard deduction, and this year it's $24,000 for a married couple. If you're a single, it's $12,000. So to itemize, your deductions have to be higher than what the standard deduction is. So I'm going to talk about married people mostly. If you're a single person, you can divide everything in half, because there really is no marriage penalty. So if you're a married couple, then the things that you can deduct on an itemized deductions are mortgage interest, possibly mortgage insurance premiums, property tax paid on your residence. If you have a second home, you can deduct those things too. Charitable contributions, things like employee business expense have gone away. We can no longer deduct those. I know I have a lot of people that, especially truck drivers, that had away from home expense. They were W-2s, but they were away from home. They got to deduct that. That's all gone away, but the standard deduction has doubled, so I'm hoping it's not going to hurt them as much. So those are the things that you can deduct. You can deduct. Everybody asks me about medical. Your medical expenses have to be pretty high before you can deduct them. You can only deduct what you pay over 10% of your adjusted gross income. It
sounds complicated.
It is complicated, and so they usually have to be pretty high. If you're low enough income that you can deduct your medical, you probably don't have any tax in the first place. So that's kind of what that looks at. We're always happy to look at that for you and tell you if you need to deduct it. But I think a lot of people who used to itemize are now going to be using the standard deduction. Like I said, that's different for Oregon, though. Oregon's threshold for for itemizing is much lower. But remember that when you itemize, you also get to deduct your state tax. When you are itemizing for Oregon, you do not deduct your state tax. So even if you aren't itemizing for federal, you may still be itemizing for state. So you still got to keep track of all that stuff. It made it not any easier.
Now you mentioned interest, mortgage interest, things like that. Would student loan interest be a part of that too?
Student loan interest is deductible, but in a different place.
Okay.
It's deductible off the front of the form, so that's different than itemized deduction. So
Okay.
that is a good one. That student interest is definitely deductible.
All right. So another kind of question that many people out there might want to know. You do tax preparation. That's what your business is. What do you charge?
So
I know it's a broad answer.
it depends.
It depends. I know. I knew that was coming.
It depends. If you take your car to the mechanic and you tell him it's broken and ask him how much it will cost to fix it, he's not going to be able to tell you right away. That's kind of where we are too. So, but like a mechanic, when you bring your stuff to me and I look at it, I can tell you what it's going to cost for me to prepare it. But I can't give you any kind of numbers without knowing what we're going to prepare. You know, how many W-2s do you have? Do you have retirement income? Did you have an employment? We charge based on the forms that we have to complete to do your tax return and the difficulty and the knowledge that it requires. We don't necessarily charge based on time. And the reason that I don't do that is because I am faster and faster and faster every year at doing my job, and I don't particularly want to make less and less money as I get faster. So we like to charge on a value-based system where we're charging you for the work that's done, not necessarily the time.
Okay, good to know. Is there a base rate that people might be able to know?
We haven't determined our base rate for this year. My base rate last year was $175. That was the minimum you were going to pay.
Okay.
Basically.
So if somebody was just a W-2 and they didn't have all the extras, they were taking standard deduction and they needed a file.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for answering those.
Sure.
So a lot of interesting stuff there. A lot of tough questions. We got a ways to go yet. We're not done yet. But if somebody does want to reach out to you, they got some questions. Pam, how do they find you? What's the best way to reach out to you?
So our phone number is 541-884-1755, and we're happy to make an appointment for you. We have a website that's Amcom Tax kfalls.com. You can find us on Facebook. We're located at 1755 Madison. So basically, we're behind Crazy R Pizza.
That's the corner of 6th and Patterson.
Yes, Patterson, not Madison, I'm sorry. Patterson. So you can find us there. Like I said, give us a call and we're happy to make you an appointment.
Well, very good. Thank you, Pam. We're actually going to take a break here in just a moment, but I want to remind you now is a great time during these commercials to enter your question for Pam. I've seen a couple in here already. We're going to get to those in just a little bit. Somebody is going to walk away with a payday rewards card loaded with $25 from our friends over at Fastbreak. Guys, we'll be right back.
Fuel, refreshment, convenience, community, rewards. Fastbreak convenience stores with 7 basin locations at Madison Chevron, Homedale Fastbreak, Merrill Mobile, 97 Chevron, McDowell Fuel Good, Washburn Chevron, and Blythe Fuel Good. Fastbreak, convenience, community, service.
Slow down
Slow down and move over.
and move over. When you see lights,
Vests,
Or reflectors.
please give us some room. Slow down and move over.
when you need us,
We've got your back.
Do you have ours?
You got our back?
you got ours. You got our back. Please, slow down.
And move over.
You can have your car taken to the shop of your choice. So my friend had her car taken to Excel Auto Body because she heard about their reputation for excellent work. They even gave her a written warranty that's good for as long as she owns that car. So Excel Auto Body is a very smart choice.
Hi, I'm Rourke, owner of Excel Auto Body. No matter if the damage is minor or major, you'll want to choose us now. So if you are ever in an accident, you'll be ready. And remember, it's your choice what body shop you go to. Choose Excel Auto Body. It's your car, our reputation.
Hi, friends. Brian Gailey, Klamath Falls News. Welcome back to Ask Klamath, presented by Fastbreak. Today, we're joined by Pam Greene, Amcom Tax.
Amcom Tax and Accounting, located at 2455 Patterson Street.
There you
I
go.
gave you the wrong address, and my staff and my business partner quickly let me know.
The magic of phones, right?
Yes.
All right. So this segment is actually brought to you by the Klamath County Fairgrounds. Happening this weekend is the Jefferson State Jackpot Winter Series Rodeo. And the Basin Bombers are also got some stuff going on this weekend. Saturday night is the Klamath Farm Bureau Dinner. And actually, you'll probably see some construction here shortly in the parking lot there. The Lamb's Christmas tree lot is coming to town next week. They're going to be open for business. If you want to learn more about what the fairgrounds can do for you and what they've got going on, visit kcfairgrounds.org. All right, so one more time, what was the correct phone number and what's the correct address over there?
The phone number is 541-884-1755. The address is 2455 Patterson Street. I'm a numbers person. Can you tell?
It's easy to get them twisted
Yes,
and turned
it
up
is.
in the wrong direction.
It is.
All right. So questions are starting to come in. So, guys, we want to make sure we get those questions in. We're going to be asking your questions a little bit later in the show. And, again, somebody is going to win a $25 payday rewards card by Fastbreak. But I do have a couple more for you before we get there.
Absolutely.
Is there a chance or a time when somebody might get a refund from federal but owe state?
Absolutely.
Or the other way around, maybe?
Absolutely. Yeah, they are definitely not totally connected on both things. So, the federal and the state might even have the same credits, like the earned income credit, but the earned income credit for state is very small. The earned income credit for federal is very high. The federal dependent care credit is very small. The working family credit for Oregon is very large. So yeah, it's definitely possible for them not to be even close to each other. So they definitely, and sometimes they have different things that we can do that one doesn't have and the other one does. So
Okay.
yeah,
Now,
absolutely.
With you guys being headquartered here in Oregon, do you do California taxes as well?
I do taxes for people all over the United States.
Okay.
So, yep, we do. We do California taxes. Washington doesn't have a state tax. But I have clients from all over.
Okay, good. Is it a good idea for a person to do their taxes themselves, like the online stuff?
So that's a loaded question. As a tax professional, I'd say, of course not. But the reality is, if you have one W-2 and you're a single person, then you can absolutely do your own tax returns. The problem with doing your own tax returns is that the software that you use, if you use the TurboTax or something like that, is it asks a lot of questions. And you may not understand the questions. They're very complicated. So you may answer a question incorrectly just because you don't understand it. So the tax code is very complicated. There's a lot of new things coming. I don't recommend that you do your own tax return. I recommend that you have a professional do it for that reason. The other reason that I recommend that you don't do it is I read a statistic once that said the average person that wants to prepare their own tax return spends 14 hours. 14 hours. Do you want to spend 14 hours on your tax return? It's not going to take me 14 hours to do your tax return. You're going to spend 14 hours on a tax return that could maybe take us a half an hour. So your time is worth more than that. So that's what I really want you to consider when you decide if you want a tax professional to do your tax return. And remember that, what you're paying for when you have us do your tax return is the software that we use, the experience that we have, the knowledge that we have, the education that we're required to have every year. That's one of the things I didn't mention. But as an Oregon tax preparer, you're required to have 30 hours of education every year. As an EA, I'm required to have 30 hours of education.
Like a continuing education?
Continuing education. So all of the preparers are constantly updating their knowledge and are going to conferences and education out of state, doing online education. Those
so
kinds
that explains
of things.
your world travel.
Yeah, I like to work that in. Absolutely.
Awesome. So when doing a personal return, what stuff do you need from somebody?
So if I'm going to do your personal return, the first thing I'm going to ask for is last year's return if you have it. so that I can look at it, make sure that this year we're making sure that we got everything that we had last year, see if there's any changes. I'm going to want, of course, your personal information like your name, address, phone number, social security number, birth date, of all the people that are on the return. We don't really have dependents anymore, which is another weirdness that we're going to be having, but we do have things like credits for children. So we need to know about the people that live with you and that you take care of and that you support. And there's different questions that go along with that too. So we're going to ask you some pretty personal questions, and it's not because we want to know so that we can post it on Facebook or go home and tell our spouses about it, because I guarantee after you leave, half the stuff that doesn't pertain to your return, I've forgotten anyway, because I talk to a lot of people. But we do need to ask some personal questions so that we can make sure that we're doing the best job that we can for you. So we need you to bring in your W-2s, if you took any money out of retirement, any kind of income that you have. Even if it's not taxable, sometimes we need to know about it. And then anything that you think that might be deductible. We're also going to do an interview with you when you come in. Or if you drop off, we're going to call you and do an interview to make sure that we know enough about what you've got going on to make sure that your tax return is accurate, that we're minimizing your tax and maximizing your refunds.
Okay. How early or how late can somebody get their taxes filed? What are kind of some of those key deadlines?
Okay, so we actually haven't found out how early you can file yet, at least electronically. I'm sure you could mail your tax return on as soon as the not January 1st, because the forms won't be out by then. So we have to wait for the forms to be released by the federal and the state entities. And then usually the federal government does not allow us to start electronically filing until about the 14th of January. It could be even later than that, but we will start filing as soon as we can. That doesn't mean you can't if the forms have been released, we can start preparing before then, as soon as you have everything. But the key is to have everything, because I cannot tell you how many people have come in, said they had everything, we did their tax return. 2 weeks later, they come in and they say, I got another W-2. I forgot I worked for these people. And then we're talking about an amendment, which is more cost. So we want to avoid that if possible. So make sure that you have everything and that when you're ready to file, and then go ahead and we'll file as soon as you can. As far as how late you can file, if you have a tax return that hasn't been filed, the government doesn't really care how old it is. They want you to file it. So I've filed tax returns for people that 10 years back, 9 years back, 8 years back, 5 years back, 4 years back, 2 years back. You can always file the old ones. They always want to get that. Keep in mind, though, when I say that you can always file those, you can only file and get a refund for the 3 years prior to the current year. So if you file your tax returns, people, even if you can't pay, you're still better off to file and not pay than to ignore it and not file. So there are programs that we can get into.
Are there penalties for missing some of those deadlines?
There's penalties for not filing on time. There's penalties for not paying on time. So you want to at least avoid the penalty of not filing on time. Let's get it filed. And if you are behind, we can help you get caught up.
Okay. So lots of good stuff there. Lots of things going on.
A little bit of scary stuff too.
So one question just came to my mind. We kind of talked before we got on camera about some stuff, but one thing that just came to mind is, will you go back and look at previous tax returns for people?
Absolutely. If through my discussion with you, or if you have a question about it, we'll look at anything for reasonableness for free. If you want me to redo the tax return, I am going to charge you for that. But usually I can look at it and say, you know what, this looks reasonable from what you've told me. This looks correct. I recently have been working on an audit for somebody. And when I looked through it, I noticed that it was missing some stuff. And so I was actually able to help him with that, because I'm like, hey, where is this? This should have been on your tax return. This was a client that did his own tax return, didn't even know about depreciation. So we're going to be able to make a big change for him in that. So I'm willing to look at something for you and say, yes, this looks reasonable, or you know what, that doesn't look right. Let's take a deeper look at that.
So a good example could be that guy that was doing the online thing last year, had the question he didn't quite understand.
Yeah.
And you can take a second look at it and
Yes.
go, you know what, you missed $500 or something like that.
And then we can do what's called an amendment. An amendment will not trigger an audit. You don't have to worry about that. If you did something wrong on your tax return, it's perfectly okay to go back and fix it. Like I said, you can only file for a refund for the 3 years back, but the IRS always wants you to make it correct.
All right. So you mentioned an audit. What happens if a client gets audited? What happens in your office? What happens with them? What's
Okay.
Fortunately, I've never had that happen, and knock on wood, it never does.
Absolutely.
So I can't speak
And it
from
won't
experience.
happen for most people. Audits are rare. So, and there's different kinds of audits. Anytime you get a letter from the IRS that says we want more information about that, that's technically an audit.
Okay.
But it may be as simple as we want to see a copy of your W-2 to verify your withholdings. That's an audit. There's a lot of letters that you can get that are audits that are easily taken care of. All my clients, I tell them, if you have a letter, you bring it to me. We will help you with it. If it's something that, that isn't easily solved, we'll talk to you about it. We'll make a plan about how to move forward with it. But I always tell all of my clients, all my friends, people I don't know, all of you out there, never talk to an auditor by yourself. Auditors speak a different language than you do. And if you say something to them that might not actually be correct, they will hang on to it till the day they die, and you cannot change their mind about it. So never talk to an auditor by yourself. You're much more likely to be audited by the state of Oregon than you are to be audited by the federal government. The federal government does a minuscule amount of audits. However, if you're audited by Oregon and they have a finding that changes your tax return, they report it to the federal government, and then they're going to want to change your tax returns too. So the first thing you do if you find out that you're being audited is find a professional. If you did your tax return yourself, you can still have a professional help you. You do not have to have the preparer that prepared it for you represent you in an audit. But I do recommend that you find somebody that can help you with the audit, and that you discuss what it's going to cost and what's entailed with that up front with them, and make sure that you're comfortable with all of it, because audits are terrifying.
Yeah.
So
Just the thought of it can
yes,
put
absolutely.
shivers down your spine.
Absolutely, but it doesn't have to be. And like I said, don't talk to them by yourself. Make sure you get a professional to help you with that.
Well, very good. Thank you, Pam.
Yes.
So, guys, we're going to take a break here in just a moment. But before we do, I want to remind you that somebody's going to come away with a payday rewards card today, loaded $25 from our friends over at Fastbreak, our presenting sponsor here of Ask Klamath. So now is a great time to get your questions in for Pam. And we got some couple in here already we're going to get to, but I'd like to see a few more, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
All right.
I'm full of information.
Full of information. Guys, we'll be right back after these messages.
Fuel, refreshment, convenience, community, rewards. Fastbreak convenience stores with 7 basin locations at Madison Chevron, Homedale Fastbreak, Merrill Mobile, 97 Chevron, McDowell Fuel Good, Washburn Chevron, and Blythe Fuel Good. Fastbreak, convenience, community, service.
Slow down
Slow down and move over.
And move over.
when you see lights.
Vests.
Or reflectors.
Please, give us some room. Slow down and move over.
When you need us.
We've got your back.
Do you have ours?
You got our back?
You got ours? You got our back? Please, slow down.
And move over.
You can have your car taken to the shop of your choice. So my friend had her car taken to Excel Auto Body because she heard about their reputation for excellent work. They even gave her a written warranty that's good for as long as she owns that car. So Excel Auto Body is a very smart choice.
Hi, I'm Rourke, owner of Excel Auto Body. No matter if the damage is minor or major, you'll want to choose us now. So if you are ever in an accident, you'll be ready. And remember, it's your choice what body shop you go to. Choose Excel Auto Body. It's your car, our reputation.
Hi, friends. Brian Gailey, Klamath Falls News. Welcome back to Ask Klamath, presented by Fastbreak. Today, we're joined by Pam Greene here of Amcom Tax and Accounting. Thank you for being here. We're talking tax and accounting and how you should be, what you need to be doing to prepare for this year.
Absolutely.
Right? And a lot of good stuff. If you missed it, you can rewatch it here on Facebook. I want to remind you once again, somebody's going to get a payday rewards card here full of $25 from Fastbreak. We're taking your questions in the comments, whether we addressed it or not. Ask your questions. Pam says she wants to answer some. So, but right now we have a moment to talk about what's on your mind, Pam. What's inside your head today?
So, as you might have noticed, I'm fairly passionate about the whole tax and accounting thing. I think that it's really important for people to understand how it works, understand how it impacts them. I know a lot of people would just like to ignore it and pretend that it doesn't exist, and I get it. It's confusing, and it can be terrifying. But you know, like I said, I have a whole team. We really want to explain it to you if you want to know. We specialize in tax. We feel very passionately about your ability to come in, have a good experience, and feel better about the whole process. I think this year is going to be challenging because of the tax changes. I think there's going to be a lot of questions, maybe a lot of differences on tax returns that people haven't expected. So I want everybody to be prepared for that. But I'd like it not to be fear, more expectation, and just waiting to see what happens. So, you know, there's a lot of great tax professionals out there. I'm not the only one. My team is not the only one. I just really encourage people to talk with their tax professional. Like I said, before you make the decision, before you do the big change, talk to your tax professional ahead of time so that they can help you. We have a lot of answers. We have a lot of way to mitigate things. But like I said, when you come to me after the fact, sometimes there's not a lot I can do. If you would have come to me before, maybe we could have made some changes. So talk to your tax professionals before you make the decisions.
Communication is key in everything.
Absolutely.
Even with your tax professional.
And that's why what you've paid us for. You've paid us for our knowledge and our ability to do your tax returns. And even if you have to pay your tax professional for a consultation because it goes beyond the scope of what has happened, it's money well spent.
Good. So, and I forgot to actually do a quick shout out. In the corner there of the screen, you see Shasta Family Dental. This section's actually brought to you by Shasta Family Dental. Dr. Mindy Brown has created a team of individuals that hold high value in family, community, honesty, integrity, and compassion. Sounds a lot like your company.
Absolutely.
They provide quality, compassionate dental care through trust and respect with their patients. They're there for you and the community. Shasta Family Dental is located across from the City Police Department on Shasta Way. You can learn more at shastafamilydental.com or give them a call at 541-884-5474. Anything else on your mind today, Pam?
I think me and dentists have a lot of the same problems. Nobody wants to come see us.
Yeah.
And they're always glad that they did afterwards. And even if it's a little painful, it's totally worth it. So
yeah.
Yeah.
A little painful. That's a good way to put it.
And we want to take as much pain as we can. I'm sure, like Mindy does, out of the whole process, we want it to be as painless as possible and to make it as good as an experience. We thrive on client referrals. That's where most of our business comes from, and that's what we want.
Mm-hmm. Well, a happy client will tell a few, but an unhappy client will tell a whole bunch.
Absolutely.
So yeah, keeping them happy is key.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So guys, we're actually going to get to your questions here. Let's taking a look here and seeing what we have. Kimberly Elliott is asking a question regarding rentals.
Mm-hmm.
And Kimberly, you've actually asked a question a lot recently. Thank you for doing that. It's all been related to rental. I'm kind of curious if you're a landlord or an owner or a renter or how that works for you. I'm my personal curiosity. But Kimberly says, what changes are there for rental owners this year?
So rental owners have actually seen some changes in the way depreciation is handled. They're able to expense a few more things. Like I said, I'm not going to give a total answer to that, but there is some changes for the way depreciation is handled, and it's a good thing. So Kimberly, I think you're going to be happy with it. It's going to make when you buy things for the rental a little bit easier to write them off.
Okay. Elizabeth Hernandez, is there still a penalty for not having health care coverage?
Okay, full disclosure here. Ellie Hernandez is the receptionist at the office. But that is a really good question. It's something that I haven't covered yet. So good job, Ellie. And I'm sure Lori is prompting it. So good job, girls. So no, there is no penalty for not having health insurance anymore. There was prior years. So, health insurance is still a really good idea, but no more penalty for not having it. And you will not be getting, you will not have to bring as much information to us. If you did get a credit for having if you paid less for your health insurance because you are lower income, you'll still be getting a 1099-A, and you still need to bring that into your tax preparer, and that credit still has to be calculated, but there's no more penalty for health insurance.
No more penalty for health insurance. That's good to hear.
Yes.
All right. So Dave Davenport is watching. Says hi, Pam and Brian. Hi, Dave.
Hey, Dave.
Jules Ekman Sayer, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, says it does take a long time to do taxes yourself.
Absolutely. We do this year round, every year, all year. We've gotten really fast at it. Not only fast, but accurate. It's about trusting us to be able to do it correctly. But if you want to slog through it yourself, then more power to you. But I personally think that your time is probably you probably have better things to do.
Well, it's a business philosophy of mine, and it's a quote from Peter Drucker. I personally follow, outsourcing.
Absolutely.
Right? Do what you do best and outsource the rest is the quote. And this is a great opportunity for what you don't do, myself being a business owner, to outsource to somebody that can do my books and do my taxes. And
Absolutely.
not have to worry about it.
And when you're an individual, it's certainly a lot easier to do your taxes. As a business, I would say definitely don't do your own taxes. As a business, I would say you may not even want to be doing your own books. And if you are doing your own books, you may want a professional to look at them and make sure that they're correct and that you're doing them properly. I tell my people, like you said, all the time, if doing the books is not something that you're good at and it's not something that you enjoy, then have somebody else do it and do what makes you money. So as a business client, I would definitely say don't do your own tax return. Those hours that you spend doing them incorrectly could be better spent making money.
Very good. Kimberly Elliott has responded, I am the president of the Klamath Rental Owners Association. Awesome.
Oh, Kimberly, I think we've met before. So.
Well, very good. Kimberly, we may be talking. You may be a good candidate for the hot seat over here. I think that might be kind of good. Any other questions? I'm thumbing through here. I'm not seeing any. If anybody out there is watching has any more questions for Pam, get those in right away. But is there any of those that jump out at you that maybe somebody gets a rewards card?
I'm thinking Kimberly is going to get the rewards card. It sounds like she's been really participating a lot. So congratulations, Kimberly, and talk to your tax professional about the change for this year for rentals.
Very good.
Because there is one.
Cool. Well, Kimberly, I'll be in contact with you about that. We'll get you your $25 rewards card. And not seeing any more questions, we're going to move on. And actually, Pam, I want to thank you for being on our show today. A lot of great information. If you're just tuning in, you're going to want to watch the replay on this because there is a lot of stuff not me, Pam, had talked about that, you might hit the rewind button and watch this a couple of times. And because there's a lot of good nuggets in there.
Yes,
lots of good things.
There's a lot. It's a complicated business, something I really enjoy, very passionate about. Like I said, I have a whole team of passionate people, and if you have more questions and you want to talk to us, we would love to have a conversation.
Well, very well, very well. And I know Pam's going to be monitoring the comments here as well. If there's any further questions here that we didn't address live, you said you're going to be monitoring those and be able to help with answers too.
Absolutely.
Well, very good. Well, congratulations, Kimberly. I'll be reaching out to you about how to claim that prize. Ask Klamath is a production of Klamath Falls News. It's hosted by myself, Brian Geely. Off camera is our show producer monitoring audio and switching is Damien over there. Hi, Damien. Thank you. Damien is a short timer with us. He's actually going to be moving on to other things. He's actually got a great opportunity with Disney coming up. I know we've mentioned this in the last couple of shows, but he's definitely going to be missed. But we are looking for somebody who could be the next Damien. If that's you, reach out to me. I'd love to talk with you. If you did not, like I said earlier, if you did not catch the entire live broadcast, you can watch that anytime after Facebook does its magic. If you learned something, if we entertained you, like, comment, share, so that everybody else can get to know all the beautiful things that Pam had to say.
Absolutely.
Our next show will be next Wednesday, where we will feature Colonel Jeff Smith, the commander of Kingsley Field, the 173rd out there. We're going to talk about the recent visit by the Secretary of the Air Force, Heather Wilson, as well as the future of Kingsley. Should be a great show. You're not going to want to miss that one at all. And I did see one other thing pop in here. Audrey Blackburn says Pam and Amcom are amazing at what they do.
Thanks, Audrey.
All right, guys, on behalf of Pam, I'm Brian Gailey. Thanks for watching. We'll see you around the basin.
Thanks.